So make today count. Like today, you got to make something that you want your grandkids to see.
If you were to think about everyone that you and your team have made videos about, and you could go to dinner with three of them, dead or alive, who would those three be? Hey, what's going on, everyone? Jason Capital here, and welcome to today's podcast. I am hanging out with Evan Carmichael. Evan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for the love, man. Good to be here.
Dude, I'm very excited to do this, and I have seen your YouTube videos pop up and watched them maybe, 7 or 8 years, it feels like. How long have you been doing these for?
It was April 2009 was my first video. So that's 11, just past 11 years. It's crazy. Crazy that it's been 11 years.
11 years. And when you posted that first video, were you like, great, I'm going to have 300 million views pretty soon?
No, I mean, YouTube back then was a totally different game too. There was no entrepreneurship content. It was cats and man fall downstairs and, it's just stupid meme stuff. The idea of making even a 6-minute video was crazy long and nobody would watch. So I'm just a visual learner. I'd much rather see it than read it or listen to it. And even this interview, like the fact that I can see you just makes it a lot easier for me. Otherwise, I'd have to like have my eyes closed and be super focused because auditory is the worst for me. I consume zero podcasts. So I just wanted to make video content because I felt there were other entrepreneurs who could also learn visually like me.
Did you, and in the beginning, were you like, how many editors and like, what's your team like now versus were you editing your first videos back then yourself?
Yeah, I always love starting stuff myself. I do everything myself at the beginning. So it was me doing all of it. Now we've got 25-ish people on the team, all over the place in terms of responsibilities, multiple editors. I mean, we're doing 6 videos a day across different channels. So it's a lot of work, and then Instagram and all that other stuff as well. But I started it all myself. The first person I hired was an editor, and that allowed me to go make a lot more videos because I spent less time editing. And I think that's always going to be the key to scaling up, is getting people who are awesome at their job so you can focus on what you're great at.
What is the process like for one of your top 10 videos to be made? Like, what does that look like? How is that sausage made?
Yeah, okay. So usually we'll get feedback from the community. So we've got thousands and thousands of requests to say, hey, do one on this, do one on him, do one on her, do another version on this person. So we start, there's somebody who's in charge of my community, and he's always kind of collecting feedback over what videos to make next. From there to go to my first researcher, who will be doing a lot of the legwork. If it's somebody that we've already done before, we know where to go, and if it's like a Gary Vee or Grant Cardone, they're popping out content constantly, so it's super easy. If it's somebody who's not as frequent, like an Oprah Winfrey, doesn't use a YouTube channel for her own voice, so it's like, is there anything new on her that we can pull from? Or somebody brand new who we've never done before, is there enough on this person that we can create content on? From there, it'll go to my second researcher, who's kind of in charge of all the research and content, and he'll do a quick look at all the content, make sure it's on brand. I spent a year just training him to think like me, because it's got to have my voice, my lens through it. It's always positive, it's always believe, it's always inspirational and educational. It's not like the top 10 stupidest things Kanye West said or whatever. It's always positive. Then I'll take a look at it. I'll record the video for it. Then it'll go to one of my 2 editors to then, actually make the cut. We'll look at it again. Then it'll go to my thumbnail guy, as well as my content title guy, to figure out what's the thumbnail going to be, what's the text going to be. We launch it, and then starting a week later, we start split testing thumbnails and titles to see if we can outperform our original. That's for every video. Yeah, this is why we have people.
I'm exhausted, man.
But like we set up the system, and my wife kind of manages all the people. And all I'm doing is now getting in front of the camera, recording and watching the content. So my part is, tiny compared to everything that my team's doing.
Yeah, it sounds like it's nicely systematized. Now, what involvement is your wife like? What's the role like there?
She joined, when did she join? Just over a year ago. We did a tour. I did a 90-day tour, 23 cities last year. And so she had a job before that. She had to quit her job to leave for 90 days. And then coming out of that, she just joined as my chief heart officer, so she's in charge of the team. One of the things I'm bad at is just staying in touch with people. I connect with people through the work, but just asking, hey, how's life and how's your dog and like Facebook and liking, I don't do that at all. But she loves that. And so she loves the connection to the people, which is important. I mean, if we're connected, if we're working on something, you're going to be like the center of my universe, and all we're going to do is work on this thing, and it's going to be amazing. But then I'm going to go work on something else and maybe forget about you for the next 2 months. And so when you have a team, having them feel like they're still important. So she's in charge of just staying in touch and exchanging pictures and just the heart stuff that I am not fantastic at.
Totally. That sounds great. And it's yeah, I think it's perfect. I have a buddy of mine who is like so adamant. He said if you're an entrepreneur, like you and your partner have to work together. That's like his rule. He doesn't think it succeeds. Obviously, there's lots of examples where that's not true. That's just his personal thing. How many videos have you guys put out on YouTube? Do you actually know the number?
It's 6,000 on the main channel. I don't know if all of them are public. And then on the sub channels, I don't know. Lots, thousands.
Are there? I always think of it. Are they like kids to you? You know, where it's like I have 6,000 children, and like there's one that I like more than the other, or like are there memorable videos you've posted where like you really like that one is like you're gonna remember that one for 40 years kind of thing?
Some of them have stories that go along. Like the top 10 series that you referenced. I started that with Kanye West. It was the very first top 10 I did. Was 5 years into my YouTube journey. So I hadn't made a video on top 10 for the first 5 years. A buddy of mine, Mark Jager, did a blog post about Kanye and Taylor Swift and the whole thing, like years after it happened. And I always try to take the approach of, hey, you can learn from anybody. Like you might hate Kanye, he's on my wall too back there here, but you might hate him, but you can still learn from him. Like if you're not willing to learn from Kanye, you've just boxed in your own learning. It doesn't mean you become the next Kanye and you go on stage and rip the award from somebody and, great, don't do that. But there's a lot you can learn from him. And so I made the first video on the top 10 on Kanye just for my buddy Mark. Like it wasn't meant to be a thing. It was just, hey, Mark, you need to watch this video and learn something from Kanye West today. That was the whole intention behind it. And then people said, hey, can you do Dame Dash? Can you do Jay-Z? Can you do Jeff Bezos? Can you do like, okay, I guess let's try it. And that spawned this whole thing. So videos like that have a nice story attached to it are cool. But I don't really spend a lot of time in kind of memory lane. It's more about what am I doing right now and going forward.
For sure, man. So where is that, right? So what is like the plan with and the mission and the vision with the YouTube and all the other stuff that you guys are doing?
I mean, I'm trying to solve the world's biggest problem, which I think is people don't believe in themselves enough. And I'm trying to do it through content. I'm trying to showcase all sorts of different people from different backgrounds that you might have written off, like people who are willing to learn from Kanye, where they might have written him off. So it's like, hey, give me 10 minutes and see if I might be able to change your mind and you can learn something from this person. And the point isn't to be the next Kanye, it's to be the best you, but you can take 1% of Kanye. Like everybody needs 1% of Kanye for themselves to be more confident and chase down their dreams. So I'm just trying to do that in as many different ways as possible. On Instagram, we're posting cartoons. YouTube, we're doing long form videos. We're in Spanish, we're in Russian. And just, when I get a new idea to try to spread more belief, that's what we're doing.
Why do you think that's so important to you to help solve this world problem and make people believe in themselves more?
Because it's still my biggest problem. Because as much as it's my greatest strength, it's still my biggest weakness in that I need to believe more in myself to do the next thing that I want to do. Like at the beginning, just making a video was nerve-wracking and took me, 2 days to make one video, and I'm sweating and sitting down trying to memorize a script and all this stuff. Now that's super comfortable. But the next version of what Evan Carmichael can do is still on the other side of me believing more in myself. So I make my channel for me. I want to be around Kanye more. I want to be around Elon Musk more and Oprah Winfrey more. And they're not selling internships or coaching programs. You can go learn from them. So that's what I've kind of done. I mean, and looking at someone like Elon Musk, every time I watch one of his videos, I feel like I need to be doing more. I think I'm doing a big job here when I'm doing, and then he's got a backup plan for the earth, right? Like, man, I'm doing nothing. Yeah. But at the same time, if you sit and watch Elon Musk content, a lot of it is super boring. He's not a great speaker. People are asking him questions about the Tesla stock price that I don't care about. And there's a lot of junk. And so that's why I have my team to go and, cut through all of that and turn 4 hours into 15 minutes. For like a Gary or a Grant or other people, it's easier because they're more on point and they're used to being speakers. But for someone like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, like not great speakers, I want to learn from them the best nuggets without having to sit through 4 or 5 hours of content. So I would, even if nobody liked my videos, I would still have those people on my team just for myself. It's my own personal development training and program.
I love it. Every time I watch an Elon Musk video or a Jeff Bezos interview or something, I feel wholly inadequate immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're so sharp. They're so on point. And I don't know. I always think there's like, I'd love to get your take on this because especially with your channel and with the world, the social media world that we live in, there's a lot of entrepreneurs who are successful relatively, but compared to on a global scale, in terms if we're measuring by financial success, they're not even close, right? Even a Grant or a Gary compared to a Jeff or an Elon, that's a joke in terms of money, right? There's obviously things more important than money, but that's what we're talking about here, right? And yet they're the ones who kind of have the megaphone talking to everyone on the planet, as opposed to the most uber successful ones who are so busy building these massive public companies and stuff. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts on that?
If you look at the richest people in the world, the Forbes list, and you take out the inherited money, they're all self-made people, entrepreneurs. But most of them, there's a good chunk of people on that list you've never heard of before. They don't do interviews. They didn't win by being charismatic. If you look at, Gary or Grant, they're very charismatic. They love being in front of the camera. They're comfortable doing it. That's how they won. A lot of the people who won, like Elon Musk, didn't win by being charismatic. He won by being a genius at what he's great at. And same thing with Jeff Bezos. Didn't win by being charismatic. Steve Jobs was a little more charismatic. I would be curious to see if Steve Jobs is starting right now, if he would have a YouTube channel. He might. He's a good marketer and communicator. What I look at is how can I dissect, like when you're looking at a Gary or Grant, first off, they still have something to teach me. Even if they're not Elon or Jeff Bezos level, you can still learn a lot from Gary and Grant and Tony and whoever else is kind of on the list of great communicators. They're still ahead of me in a lot of areas, and so I want to learn from them. They've packaged their message really nicely because they're great communicators, so it's easy to be able to learn from them. Someone like Elon or Jeff, they haven't packaged their information nicely because that's not what the business they're in. They're not, and it's not their skill set. So you have to do a little bit more reading between the lines to figure out what the message is and a little more hunting. And that's where my team ends up really helping with the process, so that we'll do the hunting for me that then I can share with people. So I just take it as long as this person's accomplished more than me in something, there's something I can learn from them.
Who is your favorite virtual mentor to learn from, or to study, or to observe yourself?
My favorite entrepreneur of all time is on the wall behind me, AP Giannini. He started Bank of America. He doesn't have a YouTube channel and there's no videos on him really. I remember I badly wanted to do a video on AP Giannini, and his story is amazing. And I called up Bank of America and told them about my channel, what I'm trying to do. And they said, hey, do you have any kind of archival footage, anything? Because I really desperately want to make this video. And their PR department said, who's AP Giannini? Like, oh my God, guys, he's your founder. Like, come on. So it's just too old to actually have some content on. In terms of channels that I consume on just for entertainment or just on my own kind of leisure time, I would probably say Gary and Tom are the two that I would consume the most, just because I want to learn. And everybody else I'm learning through actually making the content.
Gotcha. And all right, so if you were to think about everyone that you and your team have made videos about, and you could go to dinner, steak dinner, Mastro's, let's say, with three of them, dead or alive, who would those three be?
Dead or alive that I've made a video on. Oh, okay. That I've made a video on. I would get Kanye West, Madam CJ Walker, and whoever else I made a video on. Oprah.
Oprah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be a fun dinner.
That would be a very fun dinner. Who is the middle one? Matt, you said Madam C.J. Walker. I have no idea who that is.
Oh, she was the first black millionaire, a woman too, former slave turned into self-made woman. But there's no video content on her, but it was one of the early videos on my channel that we made about her. So just super inspiring story. That'd be cool to meet and document and tell the story. I would have said AP Giannini, but I don't think I have a video on him. I might.
What about him? What about his story is so inspiring to you?
So he was an immigrant from Italy, had a successful line of grocery stores that did well, and then he sold it and became the Columbus Saving and Loan Bank asked him to join their board, and he said, "Hey, we should start loaning money out to immigrants," and they laughed at him like, "Immigrants? You only lent money to people who already had money," and at that time, no immigrants had money. But because he was an immigrant from Italy, he wanted to help other immigrants, get loans. And so he left the board, set up his own bank called Bank of Italy at the time, right across the street from Columbus Savings and Loans. And he said, "I'm open to help immigrants. This is what we're here to do." He gave Walt Disney the money to start his first feature film movie, when everybody said he was crazy. When there was a giant earthquake in San Francisco and everything was kind of buried, people needed money, all the banks were closed. He went to his bank, took out 2 barrels and a plank of wood, and he said, "Hey, I'm in business. You need money? I'm in business." And he lent money to people based off of a handshake and a look in their eye. If you can imagine going to a banker off of a look in your eye and a handshake promise, right? And so my core value is about believe. Like everything I make is around believe. And for me, he's the believe banker. Like he's the guy who believed in the little guy, whether it was Walt Disney or immigrants or people kind of rebuilding their life after an earthquake. He always took a chance and believed on people when nobody else would. And people say, "That's crazy. Walt Disney's never going to make it. Immigrants are never going to make it. These people, loan off of a handshake is ridiculous." And that's what he did. Now Bank of Italy then became Bank of America, and then it became this giant, corporation, and it's super disconnected from the original roots. But I love the story.
I love that. I love that story. And what do you think about, like you said, he's giving money to people that no one else is giving money to. Basically, he is actioning belief into someone versus where someone else won't. How much of do you think generating belief in someone else for them to believe in themselves is someone else first believing in them the way he is betting on an immigrant, for instance, where no one else would?
Yeah, I think it's both sides, right? I mean, I think the person has to come ready to go off and accomplish something. When people are coming to you, want to join one of your programs, they have to have a desire to want to learn and get better and improve. If that student's ready, you could probably take them really far. You don't want to just spend all your time pumping up somebody who then never takes action. But there's a lot of people, it's just a willingness to learn and take action that separates the people who go off and accomplish, all of your heroes, right, versus everybody else who just sits and complains about their life. So if I like, AP Giannini wasn't just giving money to anybody. It wasn't just, "Oh, because you're an immigrant, here's money." You still had to have, the twinkle in your eye, the willingness to go off and do the work. But it's betting on that underdog who doesn't have the things in their advantage, but you feel like this person is just like what's on your shirt. They're just going to do it. They're just going to get up and do the work, and every day get up and do the work.
Yeah. And how, you talked about that willingness to learn, right? That willingness to implement and to learn, and that desire. My belief has always been, and this is just what I've seen, is that for most people, that willingness to learn, okay, I'm ready, I want to take action, I want to do things that scare me, starts with trauma. Usually starts with trauma, and it starts with pain. Trauma is usually the first step to triumph for a lot of people. Like Oprah had this terrible childhood, and then because she had such a bad childhood, she took that to mean she had to do good as she got older. How much of a role do you think that plays in it? Because there's people who, we're kind of going abstract here, but there's people who will have a painful experience, and a lot of them will take that to mean that's why they can't succeed. Other people have a painful experience, and that's why they have to succeed.
Yeah. So I just wrote a book about it. Built to Serve, new book. Your purpose comes from your pain. It's recognizing that there's a lot of people who, whatever you went through, whatever you struggled with, the lowest moment of your life, there's a lot of people who currently are what you used to be. And you got through it. And even though you're not done, you're still climbing. You still want to get better. Evan Carmichael's not done. Jason Capital's not done growing. You're still learning, getting better, and improving. And every time you take a step up on that staircase of learning and growth, you reach back and help somebody else get to where you're at. If you're only on step 2, you can only help somebody get to step 1, right? If you're on step 800, you can help them climb a lot further and faster. But humans are built to serve. It's hardwired into us. Serving others hits the same part of your brain. They did functional MRIs. It's the same part of your brain as having food and having sex, which are also both pretty important as a human, right? So you're built to serve. You want to serve. And some people want to serve the world. You know, you and I have a big message. We want to hit a lot of people. And some people want to serve just the 25 closest people to them. They're super family oriented, maybe not giant mission, but either way, you're still built to serve. So if you're not happy, it's because you're not serving. Now, if you break down how to serve, you could hold the door for somebody. You could buy the coffee for the person behind you in line. You could do those little acts of kindness. That'll make you feel good in the moment. But when you can connect serving to the pain that you went through, that's where you get your purpose. If you can think about who you used to be, like Jason Capital at 18 or 20 or 14, or wherever, like the most trauma, using your words, most traumatic moment in your life, and recognize there's so many people who are like that right now and are experiencing that right now, and they don't know how to get out of it, and they feel like there's no hope, and they see in you somebody who's like, he made it out, and that represents hope, and that just little spark to see that you've gone through it and got out means that maybe they can too. That connection to your pain then creates a purpose that will live with you for life. Like that will never get old. You'll want to help. You'll want to help everybody, but you want to help those people in particular for life.
Why built to serve? Was there someone when you were younger who was doing this for you, and they served you in some way, and it made some impact on you?
I mean, my parents are my ultimate heroes. They're on the wall behind me too. Like that's me when I'm 8 or 9 years old, and my mom and my dad behind me.
That's awesome, man.
I mean, and they're still alive now, and I'm blessed and grateful for that. But they would always tell me that I'm Evan Castrilli Carmichael. I could do anything that I believe that I can. And so belief started, early with them, and just now also the belief to share an impact and have a cause greater than your own. There was the seeds. You take that seed and then you water it with Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Oprah, and it just explodes, right? Yeah. So the more you're around those people who push you and make you feel inadequate to what you said before, that can drive you forward to go off and play a bigger game.
Totally. So the book, can you tell me a little bit about it, and for those who don't know?
Yeah, it's called Built to Serve. And so that's the idea that if you're not happy, it's because you're not serving. And then I go through a process of figuring out how you can serve, and then how to also turn that into a business so that you're not just serving and helping people on the weekend and evening, and then at some job that you hate because you've never figured out how to turn it into money. People struggle with, how do I turn my passion into money, because they're afraid to ask for money. If you don't figure that out, you're going to limit your impact, because now you're only doing evenings and weekends instead of building up a business and now having a team and being able to impact thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of people.
So in the book, is there a process you go through, you said, to help people kind of uncover what their purpose is or what it might be?
Yeah, I go through a 3-step process. It's called Who, Why, How. So who is figuring out what your most important core value is. So like if you had to pick, what's your most important core value?
For me, it's honestly, it's effort or competitive greatness is a John Woodward thing.
So already like you need to be around other people who are putting in the effort too. You could have like the greatest video editor of all time, but if they're not putting in effort, they're just not going to work well with you. And so it becomes the filter through which now you see the world going forward. The students you bring on, the teammates you bring on, the people you want to surround yourself with have to be people who are putting in. They don't have to be the most talented people necessarily, but they have to be putting in max effort. Like if you want to hang out with Jason Capital, you better be putting in max effort on your life. And already knowing that is great. It's a filter for new friends and people who you bring into the circle, right? Mine is believe. Next step is your why. So your purpose comes from your pain, right? The thing you struggled the most with is the thing you want to help other people through. And then how, the last step, who, why, how is how you got out of it is a model you can teach other people. It's not some fluke that happened. I saved my business by modeling success. I looked at Bill Gates and his story and how he saved his company. I modeled that, applied that to my business, and that's when we started to have success. And for the past 20 years, it's just been modeling success. What am I teaching? The videos have, the how has changed in terms of now it's videos, where before I had a website, and in the future it's going to be, VR and hologram and everything else. but that how is what saved me, and then you can use as a recipe to save other people. So who, why, how, and then the last part is about now how to turn that into a business that makes you money.
Awesome. So good. And so is it just on Amazon? Is that where people can find it?
Yeah, Amazon. If you want a signed copy, you get it from my website, evancarmichael.com. Otherwise, Amazon or wherever you buy books should be there.
Perfect. Yeah. So everyone, please go to Amazon.com and get Evan's book, Built to Serve, or go to evancarmichael.com and get some bonuses if you buy from his website. Couple questions before we wrap up, man. So you we have some mutual friends. Brett Knutson, I think, is someone we both know, and Brett spoke very highly of you. We know a lot of people in a lot of different industries, social media and stuff, but when I think of you, I think of YouTube, obviously. And you, with your split testing knowledge and just the 6,000 videos, like the amount of data that you see must just, I just imagine your brain is just like YouTube spreadsheets, is my imagination. All right. Based on all that, where do you, like YouTube 5 years from now, what does it look like?
I have no idea. I don't really try to project forward. I love data. I love making data-driven decisions. We're going to run 3,000 split tests on YouTube just this year, which is more than like anybody I've ever met, and that's just this year. So I love making data-driven decisions, and I've helped out a lot of people who are building their channels in the thought leadership space. If you want to do like a makeup channel or something, I don't really know. I can't help you with like a prank channel or a kids channel. I know basics, but if you want to do thought leadership stuff, I'm the guy. But where's it going to be in 5 years? I have no idea, dude. Like YouTube might be the biggest thing on the planet, or it might just totally blow up and go away. I'm confident where it's heading for this year and next year, and that's what I'm focused on.
Totally. Do you think, like you mentioned the VR and the hologram stuff, do you think that's going to come into play at some point?
Of course. I mean, it's coming. Just when, I don't know. I mean, we're going to be doing this not through a computer screen, but I'm going to be beaming into your living room, and we'll be handshaking and doing whatever, right? I mean, that's how it's going to happen. People will be seeing all of your courses will be you in their living room, sitting down, talking to people, not some, online version of it where they're just looking at it on a computer screen, right? Like, it's going, but when, I don't know. We're still far away from it. I mean, a guy came in and wanted to do a VR course with me. It's like, it's just too far away. Nobody's consuming it yet, but it's going to be happening. I don't know if it's in 5 years or 10 years or 30 years.
Do you like change? Do you like it when like new technologies come out? Because a lot of people obviously very fearful of new stuff.
It's how you win. Like anytime there's an algorithm update, people get pissed off. That should be when you get so excited. Because it's your chance to win. Because if there was never any algorithm changes, the people who are at the top stay at the top. When there's an algorithm change on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok comes out or whatever, that's your chance to beat everybody who's ahead of you who are sitting there lazy, complacent, and crying about the algorithm being changed. Yeah. So now that I'm kind of on the top, I still have that mentality that I love it. When's the next algorithm change? When are we moving to VR? Like, let's go. I'm ready to go. I
love it, man. So good. Evan, any final parting words, anything you want to share before we wrap up?
Just make today count, man. I think a lot of people might get inspired by this and they watch your content, what are you doing? I have a thing called the pillow test, where before I hit my head on the pillow at night, I ask myself, am I proud of the effort that I put in today? Not that I get the result or not, but the effort that I put in. Like, did I do my best? Back to, your most important core value. Did you put your max effort out today? And if you did that, you can go to sleep and be proud of yourself. And if you didn't, then tomorrow better be a better day. So make today count. Like today, you got to make something that you want your grandkids to see.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, man, for breathing all this belief into the world. It is definitely making a freaking impact. So thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon, man.
Much love.
All right, cheers.
If you have a podcast or interview show and want me to be a guest on it, I have two options for you. There's a link right there next to me. Go click it, and I look forward to being a guest on your show.